Hey there, it's Destroy Yamaguchi for Eclipse TCG, and I'm here today with Tyler York, Reflex, and Chrispy. You guys annihilated the Atlanta sector, and you played a very interesting deck to do it. How'd it go? How was the tournament? I want to hear all about the deck.
Yeah, so I just won the event, and this deck is busted. So this is Lando Lake Country. It is based off of the Master Codebreaker, who finds you Gambits. The most important one, of course, is Faith and Friends. That lets you get spies, go wide, push a lot of damage. But also, you can find Axe Forgets and Watch This, the Introverted Hoth card that you may have heard of by now, that we were playing 3 copies of in our main deck. This card is much better than it looks for a random star deck card. Is really important for the force decks to be able to swing tempo and win the race at the end of the game.
You saw it's a great effect in the finals as well. How was it for the rest of you during the tournament?
It was absolutely fantastic. In my top 8 match against Chewy, I ended up playing it 3 times in the single match just to stall him out. Even playing it for 5 with Codemaster being able to bounce the Codemaster back to your hand and exhaust the Chewy, and then when he tries to go wide at space, you're able to kind of blow up a pilot unit, exhaust everything else. If you squint really closely, it looks a lot like cutting, where you're bouncing one thing and tapping everything else.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, another thing to know about these cards too is that they can help find each other, right? So Codemaker into Faith, and then Faith can help you find cards, so it helps filter through your deck and find the cards that you need. And the package works nicely together to be able to kind of recycle itself.
The Fate lets you go wide, so your board can be really big, and then you just need to fog the board. And,
especially if you start with Master Codebreaker, one of the nuts draws is you have to start Master Codebreaker, and then the following turn you get to play Faith and Friends and Axe Forgets, which then ends up you having 3 units and 5 power in play, and your opponent just having whatever their current play was, and they're just so far behind from there, and that and your base being 34.
Well, so many decks are play on curve type strategies. Sending the card back to the hand may as well eliminate it from the
exactly. Yeah, the Axe Forgets is essentially just destroys the unit. Them spending another turn to play is just killing a unit. Yeah. All right, filling out. We have some more 2-drops just for turn 1 plays, and again, very often in this deck, I know a lot of land decks are trying to credit on turn 1. We're not trying to do that as much. We very often credit on turn 2. So we play lots of 2-cost cards, so we can go 2+2 and then activate. It's fairly common. One of the main reasons we'll see is because of this card, Tico.
Firespray.
Yes. So, like I said, you get to 2/2 activate and then play a 5-drop on 4R. Tico, very good with non-unique units such as the N1 Starfighter, the Canadian Frontrunner. Bale that makes a spy token, Faith and Friends that makes 2 spy tokens. Yes, combo deck.
2 is better than 1.
Yes. Yeah.
Cannon card was a point. You were a Cannon hater, weren't you?
I saw this card I'd never seen before in my life, and Ian was like, "Yeah, this is the best yellow 2-drop," and I said, "There's no way that's true. It's impossible." And we started playing, and I was like, "Oh, surely Junior Tender is better or whatever," because it's heroic and it matches the thing. No, this card's quite good. Honestly, people will see this card and assume oh, it's really good initiative, pretty bad on non-initiative.
You can just play it out.
You can just play it and you can just claim. You miss an attack with your Codebreaker, you're gonna 1/4. It doesn't matter. You get to claim and get this thing online. And once it's online, it just wrecks the entire board.
Well, God forbid you have the nut yet another nut draw.
Yeah. At least another
I don't think it's a single card. I don't think a single card won more games single-handedly than the... Oh, yes. One card lets you run away with the game more than any other card.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Especially, again, it is a vehicle as well. So you do get to pilot with the Han pilot, which makes this a 5/5 that gives a unit -2 power. So it just gets to kill their guy, and then they play the guy, you kill that too, and it just kills every year they play. Because everything's, especially now, everything is leading towards higher power and lower toughness because the format's so racing. So this just kills everything.
You're really just trying to get a snowball going, whether you're going
tempo advantage.
So many spies, you're getting the tempo advantage. It's just another lane that you go down just to keep them off board, keep the tempo going.
So many T-card combos.
Yeah. Like I said,
Side, Faith, Axe.
Yeah, we talk about Master Codebreaker, Faith, Axe. Frontrunner Han is also a combo. Here's another combo is Bix, which allows you to make more credits. Because sometimes we do have some 3-drops in the deck, we'll get to them. But Bix allows you to make credit tokens without having to spend a resource with your Lando, which is very important to then get your early ambush units, such as Qui-Gon.
This was originally not in the deck. She was a later include, wasn't she?
Yeah, a bit later. We were having a little bit of trouble with the Force decks, specifically Obi-Wan, because just raising them, they had a bunch of Sentinels and healing and really good at coming to the ground. If they just went space, they got to double saber their guy and it's hard to raise
She
them.
gives an otherwise pretty volatile deck stability and just smooths up.
Yeah, but Bix allows you to Qui-Gon on 5 resources before you flip your Lando without having to activate twice and underdrop twice. Yeah. So, and Qui-Gon just this card just destroys 3 units.
And runs read 3 for 1, yes.
Yeah.
Despicable card.
All right, let's talk
A
about
lot of our game is spending the early time getting cards that recycle each other, so our hand is generally pretty healthy. And so you can use picks pretty liberally to discard as you need to get that snowball going, and then we regain the tempo back by getting to 6 and looking light up.
Yeah. Again, we have this early game that gives extra cards to discard to these, and then like you said, the Lando flip, just our bombs then are worth more cards as well. So there's just a lot of card advantage in general in the deck, which we'll get to.
Yeah, pretty regularly you can go 7 on 5 and then 8 on 6.
Yep.
Yeah.
Acceptable. Becomes very good, really hard to beat.
Yeah. All right. Some interactions. Blue Ace and Beguile. Blue Ace is kind of just a necessary card for every yellow hero deck. Fetch Firespray. That card's really good. This kills it. Nothing really super interesting. This card's obviously in every Lando Lake Country you've ever seen.
Okay, so session this space.
Yeah. Just need this card. Beguile was in and out. It's kind of a select spot, but we found
last includes. That was
48,
49 cards, something like that.
Yeah, we tried a bunch of things. And we found we just wanted another piece of team interaction. Yeah.
It's just once you're going up against these force decks that have these really, really strong 4-drops, being able to Beguile it, send it back, and then you can credit. You're just keeping the board clean, and then with that extra credit, if they try to play the 4-drop again, you're able to punch.
It's really interesting how much better just waylaying a card is in this format, whereas before you're just beating your opponent's hand, and the chances that you get blown out on a later turn by Spell Guy is so much higher.
Waylay before felt like if you weren't bouncing a really big thing, it was kind of whatever. Bouncing a 4-drop is backbreaking. Yeah.
And with Lando with the cheap balance, being able to
on war, yes,
right?
You get
there are multiple games where you could just go axe credit, Gal credit, and then if they try to flip leader, you have to do extra credits. You can Qui-Gon them right then.
Yep.
All right.
You're doing something while your opponent is in jail.
Some more space units. After play Soul $8 cards busted. It was a 3-0. It became a 2-0. We wanted a couple more interaction. Also, again, because we want to go 2/2 plus Lando ability, the 3-drop is a little less valuable than it normally is, but this card's still just too good not to play, basically, so that's kind of why it's here. We have Lightmaker. This card also quite good. Again, this is not the traditional Lando deck. We are not just trying to ramp. We are trying to race and then use our bombs to leverage check or close out the game. We're not trying to
+1, 5.
We're not trying to get behind and then have Lando catch us back up. We're trying to get ahead and then have Lando close the door.
Yes.
So cards like Lightmaker that as you saw
really pesky to answer whenever there's another threat on the board. You go Rose Lightmaker, the fact that you have to do something to answer the Rose.
But this hitting once and then they have to kill it immediately because aggressive will eventually kill them with it, and it's just seven big number.
Enormous.
Yeah. All right. We have more bombs here. We have 2 Mandalorian units and 3 Liberties. Like I said, we're not maxing out on the big stuff. So a lot of people were like, "Oh, you're not playing blue, you don't get poked on." It's we're not even playing the max 8-drops because this deck again is not about just playing a bomb for 5 turns in a row. That's not what it is. It's play 1, maybe 2, and then you should close the game out by then. Liberty is basically just necessary for Boba, which is why it's better than Mando.
What's a broken card?
Yeah.
Well, everything that's a Liberty. So
yeah. Also, the other thing is honestly, which this card is 9 power, this card is 6 power, which sounds stupid, but
it's true.
You're trying to kill them. It does it faster.
Gets involved.
Die.
Perish.
Yeah. If you ever attack with Liberty twice, they die. Usually, if you attack with Liberty once, they die. Honestly. And that's because of this card.
Dang.
Aggressive Negotiations, which is busted, as everyone knows. Everyone plays in every deck is red. and some of them plays this card.
That one as well.
And then some of them don't. And I think that all the decks should play this card.
Why not?
Yeah. Like I said, we have a lot of credits. The other thing you do with Lando is very traditionally the Lando blue decks will resource every turn of the game. I stopped at 6 multiple times. I'll play a 7-drop. I'll play like Qui-Gon after I flip when I make 3 credits. I'll have 2 credits.
Throwers is a very common loophole.
Yeah, I'll just stop resourcing, and then sometimes they'll stop resourcing, and then like once my opponent knows I have this.
Yeah. So it's faith in the rose, you kill the rose.
Yep. Or you just have too many units, just something to live.
Yeah.
And once you get to 6
Was that against Qui-Gon or is that on?
that was against Qui-Gon.
That was like you're like scrambling to repo for 4 consecutive turns. Yep.
Yeah.
Once you did so much pressure, yes.
Once you get to 6 resources, you just have a stack of credits. You don't really need your resource until you
Right.
balance out your credits.
It's the old Swu versus new Swu of like Asian resources you can end the game.
I think the other big one about the bombs too is that a lot of like the bomb through there is your way for the other units. Like you put enough pressure on that you use the bombs to clear the way, so, like the rest of your guys could finish the game. And then if they can't answer the bomb could. Like there are a lot of games where like my call would have open resource, and I would just throw Liberty down right away. Right? Like they could either immediately take care of Liberty, or walk my entire grounds, force swing the base, or they try to answer my ground and I go claim 9 base right away. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But also, it taps your ground guy to help keep your ground guys healthy. So it's like if they don't answer it, your ground guys just swing, and if they're not, they get this.
Is it claim early against pile leaders and like you tap it, they like play a guy. You just you immediately because sometimes they flip right and they don't have a plot, and you can Liberty tap it, and then like they spend the resources or something. You get to insta claim, hit them, tap their leader again, and they're dead. It's just the game's over. All right, a little bit about the sideboard. So the sideboard has the 3rd Mando in case we want it. Most important for the Force decks, you really need to get the board clear because Yoda is a problem. We are mono yellow. We cannot kill that card. We have to just bounce it, and bouncing that card's really bad. So you need to get the board clear. Yeah,
just as much.
I bounced many. I put this Yoda on top of the deck and milled it with Lando like many times over the tournament. That happened. So that is the one way to actually get rid of it is you Qui-Gon, they put it on top and say, I'll do it next turn, you Lando them.
Oh, real quick. One thing to note too, just with Han Pilot, touched on it early. One thing to note is that Liberties with a Han Pilot trade into the Liberties without dying.
Yes.
And then also the same thing with both N1 and our haulers. Han Pilot makes those able to trade into other space units usually without them dying.
Yeah,
the Han units have a lot of flexibility.
Oh, that card's busted.
Yeah, that's a card that top 5.
I don't think she played any of them.
Maybe like
well, because they're not as aggressive. Yeah.
Also, 4-5 ambush sometimes.
But it's extremely
underrated as a 4-5 ambush.
Post-board against Gorn, it's one of the most important cards. Arvel,
Gorn, Arvel, like there's just a lot of 4/4s like randomly 0/0. Like if you again activate like that play we talked about where you activate, have a credit, you have 5 on 4R. You can then kill a 0/0, so you're not taking million damage.
That one's making too aggressive.
It's like, All
right.
More about the sideboard. We have 7 ambush units on our sideboard.
That's good.
So this is a guild ambush team. You may definitely not Kinlaki in a trike note. Yeah. So
not Boba hot.
Very often.
Lando Fett.
Very often we show this card to teammates and they're like, oh, that card's bad. Then we said, oh, it's Kinlaki. I'm like, oh, that card's good.
The big one for that is that it hits you, and Caleb obviously you kind of in the deck, and 3/5, the 5/4 is a really nice answer on the right turn.
Yeah, because a 2/2+1 thing.
The Force deck specifically, like a lot of the Force decks playing 4/5s, or 3/5s, and again, part of the as you see there for sideboard, we have 2 depots, 3 Podracers, which I'll get back to, or 2 Podracers, 2 Gorns, and a Commandeer. So one of the things this deck is very good at is post-board. Most Landos are really weak to credit hate, which is why you see most decks have like, whatever, 2 to 4 credit hate cards in the sideboard because they play the credit hate card and their opponent just dies. We can board all these ambush units in and just never use credits. You just play on curve. You just go like I said, you go Codemaster into 2/2, or you just play the Hauler because it's good against the Force decks. You then get to play whatever, Bix. Then you get to just go Ambusher, and their board evaporates.
Well, because they're underdrawing for these like utility units which do not have combat stats.
Yeah.
Well, we saw that in your finals because you played through Tamara Gillen, didn't you? Or is it just Tamara?
Yeah, so I did underdrop one time and he claimed, and I made the credit because like why not?
Okay.
And then he played the 4/6, blew it up, but like, and I knew about it, but I was kind of okay with that because he spent his entire turn doing that, and like I didn't care because then he traded for a Rose that had already hit him, and then my spy cleaned it up, so that was gone, and then I got to Mando, his like 2 other guys that were left, and his board was gone, and he had a Yoda in hand, but he had no units to play, so the Yoda didn't do anything. Another funny thing with the Podracer, because this is probably the one that's the card that I think some people saw and assumed it was just a meme or just bad. Another card really good with Han.
Another Hello Race.
There are a lot of 3 health units on turn 1 in this game right now. Cyril Karn, the 3/3 mana Pride, like just because damage matters so much. There's a lot more like 3/3 better than 2/4 a lot of times in a lot of decks that they found. So there are times where you just claim on turn 1 and Ether guy.
Well, that Podracer mega overperformed. It was ridiculous.
Yeah,
so you've got to be skeptical.
You can do the same thing where, like here, where you just do this, and then the following turn, then they play a 4/4, and they're like, "Oh, I have a 4/4 now. They can't kill us." And then you on it, and then they stare at the Hona in their hand. I did it for many people, staring at the Hona in their hand, looking at my 5/5 like guy that attacks that deals damage first, and they don't know what to do.
Redundancy.
Yeah,
ability.
but yeah, again,
on and off the side. Cards for it too, also, right?
Yeah,
Like,
assassin.
it's a pretty narrow purpose, but when it's good, it's really good. So you run into those scenarios where you need a low value help in certain scenarios, and when it hit those, it was perfect.
Well, especially against Boba Fett, Cyril Karn is like a lose condition. That guy, you think the value is broken.
That's
his
his
spies.
yeah, really good against Ace,
Yes.
specifically.
And Iris. It's terrible.
Yeah, and then obviously Gorn's from Credit Hate.
You guys didn't want to play that guy. You guys were Gorn haters.
That was actually the last card in. That was the last.
Yeah.
I think that went back and forth 3 different times.
Yes.
In the course of an hour. And yeah, we just.
What was it?
decided
May take it out. 60.
Yeah. It is. It was back and forth. It is nice. Funny enough, it's really good against the other Lando decks. It's also good against the Chewbacca decks. Yeah, so it's less good against like you bring it in the mirror, and it can do well
on pilot. That's like the punish.
It honestly, the mirror. We'll talk about the mirror at some point later, more in depth. But
Yes.
Gorn was. I assumed Gorn Gorn really was laying out.
It's a lot of pressure.
It's also just a 4/4 for 3. It's like isn't bad. It's like Tyrion Rhea. Yeah, run without the credits. Like it's just fine. Like it did its job.
Then Commandeer, obviously Commandeer. We only had 1 copy. It's because we thought the Boba matchup was pretty good. We went back and forth whether this should be 2 copies or not. Thought about cutting one of our segments.
As it turned out, Boba was faded this meta. So
Yeah. Boba was much less represented and did much worse than we expected.
it turned out to be like a
So it ended up being drag. For this tournament at the very least.
We felt pretty mainboard in space too. So like
It was very
we need to
comfortable,
adjust the sideboard.
Well, that's why the sideboard is just all ground amateurs. Like it's kind of mainboard space.
Yeah.
I will say I did play against 2PS this weekend.
Yes.
It is not.
Oh, that was a house.
Yes. Commandeer was
a house.
Like
That was actually the best application for me as well.
Yeah.
Whenever they want to play a 5-drop on 4, and then they want to play their 6-drop on 5, where you can commandeer, you can take your 6-drop, run over their 5-drop.
Oh, the 6-drop.
right? Now,
You don't
have it. You get
Yeah.
For what?
It's
Yeah. Commandeer. Commandeer, there's a lot of tricks you can do. My favorite is the take the fetch Firespray, deal the indirect to yourself to kill their IG and they both die. So that was my favorite. I did that. I think I did that twice for different Boba players. It's very nice. They didn't think it worked that way until you read their own cards. It did. But yeah, that's the deck. Deck's great. Honestly, I mean, I just won the tournament, so obviously we'd be like, yeah, no changes, deck's great. But honestly, there's nothing glaring that like I would immediately change. There are some numbers that might change based on the metagame going forward. Like I would expect to play against this deck more probably, so we figured that out. But yeah, obviously going into the tournament, we did not expect to play against this. I think there were 2 other people in the entire room playing some kind of Lando Lake Country, but their lists were very different cards. Yeah, we did play a lot of mirrors though.
I think like the general deck was good. Obviously, you're going to tune it to whatever the meta is, and it's going to end up being. But I think for this tournament, I was pretty happy with the 60.
Plenty of details on that to come.
Yeah. We'll go over more direct like play lines and such for that and Sideboard guide and all that stuff.
Last sector. Any final thoughts or?
That's great. Pick it. Don't be afraid to pick it up. The stick like, it has a lot of lines and looks like
Challenging and rewarding.
it can do a lot of stuff. But yeah, it is like I believe you. You can do it. Trust me. You can do it. You can play this deck. It is not too hard for you. You have a brain. You can figure this out. It's just cards.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Gives you tons of options.
It's really fun to play too. Like
It is. It's,
Oh, remarkably.
it feels like for everyone
I was
who's like
like cackling like
everyone who's like, oh, I hate post rotation meta, whatever. This feels like a pre rotation deck.
Mhm.
It does the thing where the unit combat matters. It's interesting to know for you and your opponent when to attack units, when to attack base, because it's very like contextual. It's not just I always attack their base, like LOL.
late.
Yeah, there's like when you attack the spot, when your opponent attacks your spies is like some of the most interesting like decisions.
Well, spies are phenomenally
Yeah,
game player.
This deck is a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I would just want to say like shout out to everyone.
Yeah.
Team did a lot of work. Ligo Pizza and the original ideas of the deck, and this is the whole team effort, the entire team thing, getting the final 60. The whole team did great. The support was great. So definitely shout out to everybody. Like
Yeah.
major appreciative. This is a big team effort for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you. Crushed it. Look forward to more.
Thank you.